Story Nong Bo Tot. Story of the Bull Girl. Once upon a time, two orphaned brothers and sisters set a trap in the forest and killed a bull. They slaughtered the cow and gave it to the villagers, keeping only one thigh for themselves. 5 days passed, and the two of them ate all the meat, leaving only the leg, which the orphan placed on the kitchen floor. One day, the two of them came home from work, saw the floor was clean, the stove was red, and in the middle of the floor was a basket of rice and a pot of soup. It felt strange, but because they were hungry, they decided to sit down and eat together. After eating, both of them were worried because they were afraid of ghost rice. That night they couldn't sleep. The next morning, seeing that they were still normal and healthy, they felt secure and carried their baskets and knives to the fields like every other day. When they returned in the afternoon, they saw rice and soup had been prepared by someone like yesterday. Being hungry, they sat down to eat. Even though they ate strange rice, they still had no doubts. The next day, when they went to the fields, they distributed plants and talked about the strange rice tray. The orphan said, "Grandma, who keeps coming to clean our house, cook rice, and cook water for our grandmother and grandchildren?" She worriedly replied, "If you eat from the ghost, you will die with the ghost, my child. And then you too will die with the ghost. Discuss to find out who did it." The next morning, as soon as he woke up, the orphan said loudly, "Grandma, the field work has been completed. There are still a few seedlings that haven't been cleared yet. Grandma is at home doing everything. You have to go to Calo village to ask for some salt and rice." She prepared a basket, carried the bamboo basket to the outside floor for you, and told you, "You go quickly, come back soon, lest she miss you, the fire will be watching." The orphan promised, "I'll go twice before the sun rises and twice before the sun falls asleep before returning." She holds a knife and carries a basket to the fields. The orphan carried a basket, parted the forest and walked towards the rising sun. After walking a short distance, the orphan turned into the bush, turned off the forest path, and returned to hide behind the high rock next to his house. From there, he clearly saw everything happening on the stall and outside his house. He was surprised to see a beautiful girl appear from nowhere to clean the floor on the outside floor, then carry a bamboo pipe down to the stream to get water. Then she lit the fire in the kitchen to cook rice and make soup. Once all the rice and water had been served next to the stove, the girl let her hair hang out to dry in the sun at the side door on the outside floor. Looking at the beautiful girl lying on the floor of his house, the orphan was both happy and worried. Then he quickly walked over and grabbed the girl's long hair, twisted it 3 or 7 times into his hand before speaking, "We caught the bad guy in our house." The girl was startled and tried to get up and hide, but her head couldn't move, so she struggled on the floor and cried out, "Let me go. I am a member of the family." The orphan saw that the girl's soft body and gentle face had compassion, so he gradually took off a strand of her hair and asked, "Do I have any grudge against anyone that you are planning to leave? The poison killed my grandmother and grandchildren?" The girl shook her head and asked again, "I'm a member of the family, don't you realize? Stop hiding around. Where did you come from? If you lie, I will kill you." The girl trembled and said, "You have something but don't know what it is. I'm the bull's leg. You didn't eat me, so I came to repay you." The orphan looked at the kitchen floor and saw that the bull's leg was missing, so he let loose another curl of his hair and asks, "How long will you repay me?" The girl hesitated for a moment and then answered, "It's up to you." "Oh, then you will be my husband and wife. My family is poor, do you like it?" The girl shyly replied, "To be husband and wife, you must follow Jiang's permission." The orphan said sadly, "I'm poor, my grandmother is poor, she doesn't have money. Pot, there are no bronze gongs, knob gongs, or flat gongs. My house is as empty as a pot with its mouth on the ground, so what should I give away? What should I use for a wedding ceremony?" The girl said, "If Jiang lets me become husband and wife, a small ceremony will be enough." He cooked a pot of rice, squeezed out 8 handfuls, boiled an egg and cut it into 8 pieces to celebrate Jiang and the 2 families' ghosts. During the ceremony, I sit in the house, you sit in the yard. If I throw 8 balls of rice into your hand, I raise my hand to catch all 8 pieces of egg that you throw in. If no piece of egg or piece of rice falls to the ground, it means Jiang agrees to let us become husband and wife. If Jiang doesn't let me, then I'll go down the stairs." The orphan was worried and quickly went to cook rice and boil eggs to worship Jiang. During the ceremony, he threw all 8 rice balls into the girl's hands and threw them all 8 times. "Pieces of egg, don't leave any pieces behind." The girl brought all 8 rice balls together into one big ball and gave it to the orphan. The 2 became husband and wife. She came home from working in the fields and saw her nephew sitting happily talking to a beautiful girl on the stall. The floor is very strange. Before she could ask, the orphan told her the whole story. My grandmother was overjoyed. They lived together very harmoniously. Together they worked together to build a large rice field. The rice on the orphan's field ripened earlier than any other field, so the bulls dragged it to destroy much of it. He took the sling and stalked many nights but never shot a single one. The wife was extremely diligent, working hard in the fields and kitchen. Every time she cooks, she always carefully holds the lid on the pot, not letting anyone touch it. Whenever she saw that you were too busy and came in to help, she would tell you, "Don't open the pot to make your rice raw." For a long time, I saw that you still kept the pot lid carefully, and she was very surprised. While her grandson was carrying the bamboo tube to draw water from the stream, she opened the lid and peeked into the boiling pot of rice. Strangely enough, half of the pot had turned into rice, and the other half was a handful of golden rice. Guess the story. She closed the lid of the rice cooker and mumbled to herself, "For a long time I thought the bulls were eating the field rice, but it turns out my nephew cut it and cooked rice for the whole family to eat. It was like a bull." Knowing the story, she loved her granddaughter-in-law even more but did not tell the story to the orphan. Not long after, the old woman passed away. The orphaned man and his wife gave birth to 2 beautiful children. One day, a herd of bulls broke through the fence to destroy corn on his farm. The orphan took out his slingshot and was about to shoot, but his wife stopped him and begged, "Brother, why did you want to shoot my relatives?" Feeling heartbroken because the cornfields were destroyed, the husband shouted. Seeing the herd of evil cows, he admitted it was, "What does uncle or relative mean? It destroyed all the corn, what can I get for my children to eat?" The wife cried and said, "One tree, one source of water. It's not my relatives who accept it, but they don't accept it. If you don't feed him, then chase him away." The orphan still hasn't gotten over his anger and shouted, "Can you chase him away? Does it puncture your intestines? Yes, your relatives, please go and invite them out of my field." The wife was angry when she heard that. She wiped away her tears, hugged both children and ran straight to the herd of cows on the side of the field. Seeing this, the husband knew that he had said too much, panicked and worried about his wife and children, quickly let go of the slingshot and called out, "Honey, go back. The cows killed me and my children." The wife still kept running. The orphan raised both his arms to the sky, as if he were about to drown, stammering out his wife's name and the name of his child. The wife, holding her 2 children, rushed straight into the middle of the herd of cows and also turned into a mother cow with 2 children. Calf. The mother and baby cows ran into the backs, necks, and bellies of other cows in the herd. The whole herd of bulls raised their necks, curled their tails and ran away into the deep forest. The orphan suddenly lost his wife and children, and repented even more with his anger. He cried loudly. His sad cry made the forest trees shake their leaves. The gibbons also cried, and the birds stopped singing. When his tears dried up, the orphan set up an altar to worship his wife. From then on, every ceremony if a cow is killed, or a house can hunt bison, I will not dare to go to that ceremony or to that house anymore. Because who would ever eat the flesh of his wife and children's descendants? Ancient Tale of the Brew People. Thank you for joining us for today's fairy tale. We hope these stories bring joy and meaning to your day. If you love our channel, please hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any exciting tales. Wishing you a good night and sweet dreams. See you in the next story.